Welcome into the Common Dad Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the background noise, Drew. That was wonderful. Gentlemen, how are we doing this fine evening? Morning or afternoon?
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're doing that good. That's important.
That's yes.
Everybody else.
It's that time of year.
And Ryan, it's so good to have your smooth, borderline sexual voice back in our ears. Good to have you back.
Well, that took a turn.
It took a turn early. Okay, so I had a thought today. Well,
Always
no, I had
dangerous.
a thought. My thoughts are dumb, let's be honest. I had a thought watching a football game this weekend, and I wondered, I think we're really missing a big money maker here. This is $1 million idea. Would you pay extra if you could, NFL, college football, whatever you like, or basketball, it doesn't matter, whatever sport you want to watch, if you could pay extra to have, like, audio from the coach's booth or in the huddle, and so you could know, like, what the coaches are thinking, or, like, just every player's mic'd up, so after the play or even during the play, you get to hear everybody talking and what they're thinking. The hill. I don't know if anybody's ever watched NASCAR, but the hillbillies do it. Like, you can pay extra money and you can listen to the.
Well, I think they give you a little bit of that during the big games like Super Bowl, National Championship, etc. Because there are other channels you can, like, every single ESPN channel shows, whatever the game is.
Sure.
But each one shows a different version of it. What you can get
The
the
mega
version
cast
where,
is
like,
what
you
they
just
call it,
watch
right?
the high and wide the entire time, and
Right.
there's no camera cutting, there's no anything. You're just watching the whole field the entire time. And you can get one where, all the other coaches are in a room and they're all watching the game together, and you get their commentary on the game. There's literally like 6 channels that show the national championship, and they're all these different versions of the game.
Do any of them do, like, live, like, head coaches and players, though?
Not the people in the game, I don't think. It's all
Right, yeah,
It's all kind of external stuff.
right. Like, you can see the play from different angles and everything, which is cool. I do love that. But yeah, I'm talking, like, live. Like, you can hear the coaches
Does that end up
cussing
posing
out
a
the
problem,
other.
though?
Oh, absolutely. They'll never do it. They'll never do it.
You
for
can't
sure.
do it with coaches. Now, I was
What about
watching.
players?
I was watching a little bit of the baseball playoffs that have been going on in the early rounds, and they interview coaches in between innings, so you get
A little.
and
Yeah.
keep in mind going to halftime, coming back from halftime, they talk about, hey, coach, you saw this, or they're
Sure.
doing this. What are you thinking about? How are you going to come back, or how are you going to handle this going into the second half? So you get a little bit of that, but to get more than that, you're giving away strategy. And
Right.
And I think coaches get their contracts and their thoughts and all that stuff, like, based on their strategy. So you're not going to get that. The players, however,
They cover their mouth. They're so
you saw-
paranoid.
you saw,
As if somebody's watching them live, reading their lips. They think that
but
somebody's
they
gonna...
do it. Belichick with the Spygate, man.
Yeah, but that he was recording people in practice. Like,
I
coaches
know.
cover their mouths because they think the other team's going to have a lip reader and correspond that to the other head coach in time to get the adjusted play in.
Houston
not even
Astros,
possible.
trash
Yeah,
cans.
but that's I'm talking about, like,
The
football
only thing
and football and
the
basketball.
only thing I would contest is you're pitching that to be a far-fetched thing.
Yeah.
How
Maybe
much
it's not so
money?
far-fetched?
How much money is riding on that game?
And-
How much money? And
casinos.
between
Yeah,
casinos and every, like, how much
Billions?
money do you?
Is that
it's
crazy to say?
billions. It
Billions?
doesn't matter
Yeah.
who the team is. If you're
Yeah.
NFL, it's billions.
You don't wanna
And you're
get in
telling
trouble.
me that somebody doesn't have a camera with a zoom lens that is able to read lips
Yeah.
and a two-way
Yeah.
radio
You're
inside of a
probably
state?
right.
Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, on the
I
big
guarantee
games.
you somebody is trying to get the edge to win big
Yeah.
in Vegas.
All right. Oh, all right. Okay. Riddle me this. What about, like, Ohio State versus Toledo, Tennessee versus UT Martin?
They're still
What
no,
about those games?
Get it out of the college. Remember back? You guys were around. Did you watch the XFL when they had the non-last
they
names
used to
there? He hate
do,
me.
Yeah.
They had those players mic'd up. They had the huddles mic'd up.
They did, yeah. But then
And
again, nobody was watching or betting on those games, so it is.
they
that is
weren't
good.
then because gambling wasn't in.
Right.
But it'll be interesting with the new XFL that's
Yeah.
coming out, how
How
they handle
much-
some of that.
How
But I think
much
they're
would
incorporating
you
it.
Pay for that package. If you could get a package per year where every Ohio State or whoever your team is, if you're a Michigan fan, go ahead, unsubscribe, hit the button,
We
the
don't
little
need
bell
you.
button again. We don't want you to know. We don't need any of that. But do subscribe the week of the game. We'll have some things to say. How much would you pay for a year of whatever sport you wanted to get all access to coaches and players live in game?
Above the actual sports channel itself,
Above the sports channel itself.
I wouldn't. But
Okay. All right.
that's me.
And I would consider you like a
If I can get the channel and watch the game, I'm good. I
Right.
I don't need to
Yeah.
try to decipher. And
Yeah.
and to that point, I mean,
and you're
I'm
most of the
getting a little
demographic.
bit-
You like Ohio State football a lot, but for the other sports, you're relatively casual. You know what's going on.
I know
but
what's
you're-
going on. I'm
you're
casual
most
and all
people.
of that.
You're
But,
most
but
people.
and I would I'm getting too deep into this already. But so you've got 22 people on the field at a given time.
Uh-huh.
Which microphone are you listening to?
Yeah, I guess you could only mic up like two guys.
Which mic?
That's
are
a
you gonna
good
listen
point.
to?
It's
You
just,
got
it's
22
just
guys on
chaos.
this.
Everybody.
You're gonna
What if you
listen
could
to both-
toggle? Could
You're
you
gonna listen to
toggle the
both teams
mics?
simultaneously? Like,
Could
I
you
just,
toggle the mics
I
you
don't.
wanted
I don't
on?
need to hear that and try to decipher that and try to
Yeah.
mix with
What-
my own
That's true.
conversation and my own
Yeah.
inner mind. That's
Maybe
just too much.
you'd
I'll
wanna
watch the
hear-
channel.
yeah.
I'll watch ESPN and watch the game and enjoy
Okay.
the game and listen to my own 7
Sure.
conversations going on in my mind at one time.
Right. That's fine.
I don't
I-
need to hear
I
22
liked-
other people, plus the coaches, plus the booths, plus the
Right.
announcers, plus the producers,
And then try to
plus
figure
the
out
other
what's
team
going on.
coaches who are in
Right.
a private
Yeah.
room watching. I don't need to hear all of
Mhm.
that.
I
All right.
liked,
What about you, Ron?
I would agree. I don't know that I'd pay extra, but I liked the format just in terms of kind of answering some of Drew's questions or part of it.
Yeah.
The All-Star game, the actual game itself, and I know after like the first inning, most people aren't, even casual fans don't really watch baseball on TV.
Right.
It's you go to the game for the baseball experience, or you don't really watch baseball unless you're a more avid fan. And the All-Star game is probably even less so. But they had, I think it was a year or two ago, they had Francisco Lindor, shortstop, that used to play for the Indians. Now he's with the Mets.
The
mic'd up.
Guardians.
The Guardians. Well,
Guardians.
they were the Indians then.
That's true. That's true.
And they had him mic'd up, and but it was a two-way, so your TV announcers would talk to him while he was on the field.
Really?
And so he
That's
would
crazy.
say, like, watch this, watch this, watch this. And then he'd throw,
Yeah.
like, he'd make it out.
That's pretty cool.
And then they'd ask him they were able to basically interview him through an earpiece.
See, that's cool.
On the
I feel like you
field.
could probably only do that in baseball too, because there's enough time in between.
And he was like, well, I
Yeah.
think
That's cool.
like a wide receiver or running back, you might be able to try to get a little bit of, or like a linebacker saying,
Like a DN,
like,
somebody who's just doesn't.
like I'm not running the huddle, but okay, I got the play. Watch this.
watch
like,
this play.
Check
Yeah,
this
yeah.
out. Like, okay, you go, and then you're
Yeah.
hearing a little bit of him saying, "Okay, shift left,
Yeah.
shift left. Watch this."
I would pay. I'd probably pay keep in mind, there's something wrong with me. I'd probably pay about an extra $100. Like, I think that would be cool.
steep.
Yeah, again, they'll never
you
do
need,
it, but I think.
But you would want that ability to toggle. You want to.
Yeah, I would
like
need-
A
I would
selector
need-
where you can
I
pick
would-
which microphone you're listening to.
I would definitely want to listen to the quarterback, and I would definitely want to listen to the other team's quarterback of the defense, whether that's a safety
Now,
or the.
is that
or the
NFL or
linebacker.
would that be another 100 for NCAA?
I would probably only pay one.
And which would you do, NFL or
College,
NCAA?
college all day long. But I just watch more college. I think that would be cool. Because I mean, if the hillbillies have it, why can't we? Right. Speaking of hillbillies, let's talk about and if you're a hillbilly, we absolutely love you, and we want you to subscribe, listen, and follow. Wherever
We like
you
moonshine.
do.
If you identify as a hillbilly,
Yeah, we're just happy you can get reception. Honestly, we're thrilled.
they
tell
take
your
they
cousins-
get internets out there.
Tell your cousin / wife, girlfriend. It's fine. We love it. We
interwebs
love
are
them all.
available.
Yeah, we love them all just like you do. Anyway, we are going to talk about. Jeez,
wow.
yeah. I probably just offended a lot of people. It's fine. The worst parents at children's sporting events.
I think you just worked your way up that list there, Justin.
That's fine. I should be on lists, let's be honest. Yeah, worst parents at sporting events. There's a lot of them. We've all been to sporting events, especially the kids' sporting events. It's probably where it's most obvious, right? Like at the adult sporting events, it's just you get just dumb, drunk people that are way too loud.
Well, I mean, I'm sure
feel
parents
like-
go to the adult sporting events, but
That's true, but like
it's a little harder to interrupt the game from the nosebleeds or from a
correct.
booth
Yeah,
in the middle.
that's true.
Like, you're not really going to
Unless you-
interrupt the game there.
You're not gonna
Unless
get
you're
in
going
there.
down on the field and then you're getting arrested.
And then,
so.
and then you've made your own problems for sure. You're gonna get decked by an NFL linebacker. That's on
Yes.
you, and I'm all for it. I would definitely let's mic that guy up. That's what I want to do. So Ryan, you're the chief in this particular subject because you are the only coach in this podcast. So I want you to name names. I want you to be very
Burn
specific.
bridges, name
and call,
names.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, call people out. I want Facebook accounts so we can shame them publicly.
We're going to
no.
tag them all in this post.
So yeah,
I'll
we'll
have
tag
to-
them in it. We'll tag them in it for
I'll have
sure.
to find out how many of my players' parents watch the podcast. I'll find out next practice with how they treat me or
Well,
if
we'll
they show
call
up
them
on
out for
time.
that too.
Sure, right, exactly. Yeah, we'll get them on that too. With that being said, Ryan, let's start with you. What are some of the worst, and absolutely don't name names because
No,
I don't want little Matthew getting drilled with a pitch.
So,
let's
in,
not
in
do
all
that.
honesty, I know you guys had kind of given me a heads up that this is something you guys wanted to talk about,
As we do.
and I, for the most part, I really have been fortunate with the kids that I've been able to coach. So, and I don't know if it's a little bit of some coaching that I got from Pops with how to handle and address things up front with parents to kind of get on the same page and to
And Pops is your dad.
rally
to be
the
to be
horses.
clear.
Yes,
Okay.
to who has plenty of coaching experience,
Sure.
to kind of bring that all together, or maybe I just lucked out with good parents, but it doesn't negate the fact that I've seen it or I've heard of it, and I so there's two, maybe three kinds that I could go three kinds of
Okay.
parents that really get under my skin. Personally, that I think are the worst type of parents, and I would argue it's not. I can make the argument that it's not just baseball, it's not just sports.
No,
it's
yeah,
any
it's-
child activity. I would say activity, but Katie's done
This parent
gymnastics
is
and
going to
cheerleading
do what
and
they're going to
dancing.
do in football and basketball. And
Absolutely.
they're going to be the same parent.
A dance recite,
in any
whatever.
arena.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you want me to just go ahead and start rattling?
Lead us off. Lead us off.
So I'll start with probably the least offensive of the top three that I have. So
Okay.
we'll work this up to the most offensive. So the
Okay.
least offensive is the parent that is told to stay on the sideline. I'm coaching your kid. Let me coach your kid. I've got experience. I'm trying to keep this all together as a team.
Right.
But then between every pitch or after every time you instruct the kid something, they come in behind you and yell at the kid to do something different.
Yeah, they know better.
Yeah.
They know
I
their
call
son.
it-
They know better.
I have this one on the list. I call him the sideliner.
The sideliner.
Absolutely.
That's a great
Yes.
nickname for him.
Because they usually work themselves down onto the field or the court, and you look over and they're just
They're right
they're
on
just
the
there,
sideline.
and you're like, wait, why are you almost in the huddle? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
Why
no,
are
no,
you
I
here?
respect you, coach. I respect you, coach. You got this. You got
No, you
this.
don't.
But then as soon as you coach their kid on something that they don't agree
Uh-huh.
with, you turn your back and they're telling their kid to do something else. And
And they're gonna listen to their dad because that's who, or
I
mother,
think, well,
or
and
whoever.
it completely confuses the kid. So this
Yeah.
is a worst parent for me, make no mistake, but it's the least offensive, I think, because at least they're doing it because they're trying to help, not realizing
true.
they're completely oblivious to how damaging it actually is to that kid's growth and
and
learning.
if the kid screws up, you can just look at the parent and go, "Your fault." That's not what I told him to do.
You're fired.
That's on you.
Yeah. So that would be number 3.
Okay.
My top 3.
All right. Let me. I don't.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I don't want you to burn your top 3 yet. Let me pepper in some of mine because I have a feeling yours are going to be a lot more accurate than mine because I'm going off of my memory of playing youth sports and my memory
All those
of
years
my,
ago.
and stories of my grandmother being at my father's games. Who she once allegedly ran onto the court with her shoe and beat a ref over the head.
Well,
I don't know if it's
it was
true
a
or not.
bad call.
Exactly. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was no video evidence, back in the 20s whenever they were around. So we're just going to roll with that. But anyway, the number 1 on my list is just, again, not very offensive, and you really only hear this parent like if you're in the stands next to them, but just the 100% clueless parent that really doesn't even know what sport they signed their kid up for and definitely doesn't know what the hell they're watching. And they don't know when to cheer. They don't know what's good. They don't know what's bad. They
I'm
just
curious
don't know
here,
what's
okay, so
happening.
why
but
is,
they're loud.
Why is that a bad parent at the sporting event?
It's not. None of these are bad parents. Let me be clear. It's an annoying person that I'm sitting next to. That's what it is.
So you as
They
an
might be
attendee,
bad parents,
you-
but
So
not
their
because
lack of
this.
education,
sitting
even
in
though
the
they're there to
audience
support their
bothers me.
kid.
Gotcha.
It
Okay.
You signed your kid up and you paid money for your kid to watch fill in the blank sport, and you don't even know how to score a point. Like, we've all sat next to somebody
Good
that
goal point unit touchdown.
You're
Score,
right, they're watching
touchdown,
the
field goal unit.
yeah, make a score. Like, it's not what you say anyway. They're not that bad. They're fine. They're mild, but it's just if you're in that person's proximity, it's just like just Google it for like 20 minutes before you come to the game and just get the basics.
Watch a
down.
YouTube video.
Just
Print out the
what-
keywords and the definitions.
Literally the basics. That's all. And again, they're not bad parents. They might even be the best because they don't care what it is. They're just gonna, make their kid happy. So they're good people. They're just, they're
Clueless.
just annoying. Yeah, they're clueless.
They're dumb.
Exactly. So the clueless one. So that's what I had. So
Well,
Ryan, what's your,
okay.
go ahead. Good. No. Go ahead, Randy.
No, I don't have a lot to contribute here. I mean, I have my own memories, but I'm not a coach at the moment. To me, and maybe I'm going to jump right to the top of Ryan's list here. And so Ryan, I think the worst parent is the one that yells at the coach. When the coach pulls their kid out of the game and benches them for whatever reason the coach has. The coach, Ryan, like you mentioned, the coach is trying to put together an entire team, trying to coach the entire team, has a plan, at least hopefully, for how best to lead
Fingers
that
crossed.
team. And if the coach determines that the best move is to bench the star quarterback, he doesn't need to hear that the parent come down from the bleachers all the way to the sideline and start screaming in his ear, "Why'd you pull my son Jimmy out of the game? Go sit down." Nobody
Yeah.
wants. Go sit down. Thank you. Which, really, you don't think I knew that? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
It,
Go sit
Can
down.
And Ryan, this is a question I have for you. Can you look at the parent and just say, because your kid sucks? Can you just say that? Like, I don't know. I've never been a coach, but when you're a
I
parent,
wouldn't
you know
say
when
that.
your kid's not good at something,
Well,
right?
I think 50.
Okay,
50,
you're right.
50,
You wouldn't
and I
say
don't know,
that.
Ryan. Correct me if I'm wrong. 50-50. Maybe the kid does suck, and
Yeah.
you're pulling him because he's trash. But the parent just thinks he's the best, God-given gift to the
Right.
entire.
We're
playing
handing out
to
scholarships
the
today.
entire field. I think the other 50% of the time, the coach is trying to teach a lesson. You don't be late to practice. Don't
Yeah.
forget your helmet. Don't forget your baseball bat. Don't forget your glove. Whatever the purpose is, the coach is trying to teach a lifelong lesson to the player.
Yeah.
And putting them on the bench for the first half of the game is part of that.
So-
Teaching.
lesson.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of experience with this, not quite to the degree that you guys are describing, but getting frustrated about certain sort of game decisions that are being made and getting in my ear about it at the game. And for me, I again, maybe it's just how I handle it. I don't view those parents as I almost view those parents as maybe not clueless, but they don't understand sort of parent.
Yeah.
And it's not they don't understand
they don't
the game.
understand why we're
but they
here.
don't understand. They don't understand and they don't understand why I'm making the decisions I'm making. So I look at it as an education option, because it's almost like I can look at the parent and say, "We'll talk after the game." Like, I'm not going to address this now. And
shut up and
like,
sit down.
That's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And then after the game, more often than not, I can look at the kid and say, "Tell your dad why you got yanked."
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
And the kid knows.
Oh, I forgot
kid
my
knows,
helmet.
yeah.
I don't
I like
get
that.
to play.
The kid knows.
That's a good move.
So
I like that.
So it's, to me, I guess
Yeah.
that's not that bad of a parent, because then that's the last time the parent ever does it, because
Maybe.
the kid gets it, and if anything, the kid's more embarrassed about the parent, and the kid keeps the parent out of it, or
I
the
like that
parent
move. That's
doesn't
a
like
good
it, and he'll yank the kid, and okay,
Go tell you
if that's
go
your
tell dad
decision,
while
good
you're out.
riddance.
Go tell you. I like that. That's a good one. That's definitely a good one. All right. What's your next one there, Ryan?
So my number 2 is maybe I shouldn't say a worst parent, because I know that we all have busy lives and things go on, but this is again a parent that I don't think understands why we do what we do, or why we're together doing this activity. But it's the babysitter drop off. I'm not here to babysit your kid. If you're just looking for something for 2 to 3 hours to kill time for your kid, like, there are other things that you can decide to do.
Like a babysitter.
Like a babysitter, right?
Like an actual babysitter. Yes.
And
It's much cheaper, by the way.
but, well, I $200 give or take for a season's worth of baseball is not terrible,
Yeah,
and
maybe,
you get 3 months out of it, plus practices
Sure.
and so on and so forth.
But your kid might get hit with a line drive. There's also that
But,
possibility.
right,
So
if
it
you're
comes at a
dropping-
price.
If you're dropping your kid off, especially the younger ones, and leaving, again, it's different if it's like I have to drop my daughter off. She's a little bit older, and she goes to dance. She's going into a classroom at a dance studio with paid teachers, and then I have to go take my son. So I get that there's the commuter parent, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to drop my kid off. I need to run my other kid over to this, and then I need to go get this, and I'll be back. Like that,
But you
I don't
tell
view as
the- You tell
babysitting.
the coach before
Right.
you
Yes.
do that. Hey, I'm not going to be here, but I'll be right back.
It's not every game.
And
It's
the
not
kid
every
knows
practice.
why, too.
It's
Yeah.
not right. There's a
Yeah.
legitimate reason behind it. It's the ones that don't
Yes.
have a reason. It's, I'm dropping off my kid, and they do a little bit of what you're talking about. I don't care what the sport is. I don't know the rules. I don't know what the coaching. I don't like.
Call me if they're hurt.
Like, you got my emergency contact info. Here's my kid. Good luck.
Awesome.
And again,
Godspeed.
never had any parents like that, but I am
Right.
certainly
But
familiar with them and have heard of
I've-
them.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a tough one, and that's kind of partially the reason that I did not enroll my oldest son in flag football this year, because he doesn't fully understand the game yet, and I don't want to be one of those parents who is whoever the volunteer. Keep in mind, are you getting paid, Ryan? No. Not a dime. This volunteer coach shouldn't have to literally describe and teach the entire game. I feel like the kid should come into whatever sport you've signed them up with a
very kind of
general idea of the goal of the sport. Like, if you're signed up for baseball, you should know, I'm going to take this bat and I'm going to hit the ball, and I'm going to know what first, second, and third base is, and I should probably catch it from time to time.
I disagree.
Is that
with
too
Have
high
you-
of an
have-
expectation?
Have you never seen the videos of the
Really?
kids playing t-ball who hit the ball and then run at the pitcher and
Well,
run at the
t-ball-
third
okay,
base?
t-ball's
They
a little
run
bit
to
the
go
bases
pick it up
backwards
and put it back on the tee.
T-ball's a disaster.
I hit it. I want to hit it again.
Yeah,
they,
that's true.
They have no idea
Yeah.
what the game is, and everybody scores a run no matter what, and
Yeah.
every kid
I don't
gets to
know.
hit. It's not 3 outs.
I
and
felt like flag football was a little bit different, and maybe I'm wrong on that, but I was just like, I would rather let him. He doesn't need to be dominant or anything, but just
see
an
and-
idea of what's going on before he gets there. I feel like would be
now I
better.
see this is a good transition to one of my other bad parents,
okay.
and that's the one that over prepares their kid. So in that sense, I'm thinking the parent and the child, frankly, for that matter, but mostly the parent, because he's the one making the educated decision. You know, your kid is an all-star, tackle in flag football, and he goes out there in Pee Wee and just demolishes everybody on the field. I'm sorry, put your kid in a different league. Like,
Well, sometimes they don't have choices. Sometimes it is by age,
your kid is at a different level because you've been training him since he was 2 years old, and you're going into a league where they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
you're the parent that, like, in flag football, you tell your kid to go tackle him and step on his chest as you get up.
Like, those
that
parents,
like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
those taking this way too seriously.
Yeah. But those parents, if I'm being honest with you, and this is again just speaking from what my experience was, not obviously it could be different in different situations, but more often than not, that never happens for more than one season. The next season, if I'm putting that much time into my kid to be that competitive, it's not for him to become king of 7-year-old, whatever.
Exactly.
It's because if I'm putting him into this, it's because I want him to be competitive and be an all-star. And if he's that much better than anybody, my fear is going to be, he's not learning anything. I'm going to sign the waiver and I'm going to move him up. I'd rather him dominate 2-3 years ahead of his age and get up to that level so that when he gets to high school, he's got scholarships and he's got, like, if I'm that dedicated. So those kids, if it happens, which it has happened, it doesn't usually last more than one season before it's okay. I've realized I put so much into this that this kid is so much better. I'm not going to leave him here. I've got to move him up.
Right. That's true. That kind of brings me to one, and this is pretty close to the parent. I call them the varsity club, where they are convinced that their kid is the best kid on the field, and he or she should be playing whatever, quarterback, point guard, whatever the star role is, and they should never go out of the game. And that parent is clearly living out their glory days, or what they thought were their glory days, through said child. And that parent sucks a lot. Really sucks a lot. Like, because they're not just annoying when you're there, but like that's also what they only talk about when they're not around the game too. Like if you see them, they're like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, let me tell you about little Jimmy. And like, oh, here we go. I don't care. Like, it's that's a rough one for me. The varsity club parents who, they're trying to hand out scholarships at the game.
They're in their mid-30s still wearing their high school Letterman jacket.
There's nothing wrong with that specifically. 2-time varsity Letterman. Thank you.
No, so
the first one was all special teams, but it's okay. It's fine.
It still counts.
That can definitely be a frustrating parent, and there are ways to deal with that parent as well. And I don't know. Again, they're wanting the best for their kid. I guess I try to look at it from that perspective. Absolutely.
Okay.
And sometimes if you speak it into existence, maybe the coach will believe you, and your kid's going to get more playing time.
Yeah, it might happen.
But more often than not, when they mess up on the field and you turn and look at them, like, that was an easy play my kids made like 6 times, and 6 other kids make on a routine basis. You kind of look at the parent, and those type of parents get humbled very quickly, in my experience.
Okay.
Not all of them, but most of them.
Not all. Yeah.
So my number one, and I had this happen one season. I did have this happen, and it wasn't my regular team. It was a different scenario, and I won't go into any more detail than that, just so that I don't
First, last
call
name,
out anybody.
social, address.
Right. But it's the coaches that forget. It's the parents that are coaches, or the parents that forget why you're there. And what I mean by that, what happened is they get so heated, the parents with each other, and they start chattering with each other, and then they start fighting. I had a fight
that's
in
the
the
worst,
stands
for sure.
with one parent fighting another parent of a kid on my team. So 2 of my parents were fighting each other, and that was not
like fist
you
fighting?
just got to look at that. Yeah.
Or like,
but the coaches ended up having to hold them back, and it was like it was not not a good situation, and it is about as bad as I think you can get when you stop forgetting that it's about the kids and growing, and you decide that you want to fight some other kid's parent.
I'm going to punch another person in the face.
Thankfully,
child's
never dealt with
game.
them wanting to punch a kid, but punching the kid's parents isn't really that much better. Like, I'm going to get in a physical altercation because I'm this kid's parent is starting, or this kid's parent is saying
That
this
sounds
about
like
my
Florida.
kid. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just
those that forget the goal of why we do youth activities and youth sports, and think that their feelings and that they're the most important. They're the ones that
like
that's the worst for me.
It's almost, there might be a very, very small instance where that needs to happen, but I don't care if another kid is on the field fully like bullying your kid. I'm not gonna go punch another person. Like that's not fixing anything. Just take your kid out of the situation and handle it with whatever league you've got. Like, yeah, like the fights on the field are just, because whenever you see those videos, because they're all over the internet, the kids are just standing there like,
What's going on?
What is happening? Why are you
Right.
this angry? Like, the kids that are playing against each other, competing against each other, are just like, well, our parents are idiots. Like they're not even mad at each other.
Well, more
And
often
they're the
than
ones
not,
playing each other.
The kids are just playing the sport, and they're playing in front of officials, and so there are rules that are being adhered to. And regardless of how you can pick on an umpire, you can pick on a referee, you can pick on those officials however you want to about whether or not they see plays or miss plays. And there have been bad officials in games. There will always be bad officials.
They're not volunteers, but they're making what, $20, $25 a game?
They're not making a lot.
They're there so your kid can play said sport. That's why they're there.
Right.
If they don't show up, your kid doesn't get to play.
So I just, yeah, when you start forgetting about why you're there and the fact that your kid needs to grow, and that's what I like about sports and these activities is that I've yet to meet a kid, and I've seen I had a kid one season whose dad took him out to practice twice a day, regularly in T-ball, and the kid was a stud. He was absolute stud. But it was very much like, I lost my train of thought.
Womp womp.
Womp womp, right?
T-ball.
No, I know.
was an all-star.
It had to do with forgetting why you're there. It's still the education of the kid.
It was
it's still
taking it too
to
seriously,
further.
I'm guessing.
He was taking it very seriously, but the kid never got burnout, and when he did, or when he got close to burning out, he backed off. So there's
That's
a
good.
recognition of,
That's good, yeah.
okay, like I'm pushing it, I'm trying to get the kid there, and he never was, oh, my kid needs to start, or oh, my kid needs to do this. Like I said, I always had the conversations with the parents up front. They were like, listen, do whatever you need to do. Like, if you need to sit him, if you need to do this, that, or the other,
That's
when
good.
you lose sight of why you're there to teach and benefit the kids, like, there's an issue.
Right. Yeah. And that being said, I mean, obviously this conversation was tongue-in-cheek and fun. I would say most parents out there that are signing their kids up they're there for the right reasons. It's good. Like, they sit there and I poked fun at the clueless parent, but I would much rather have the clueless parent than the one fighting on the sideline. Like, it's way, way, way better. But yeah, no, I mean, kids sporting events are something. So next year my oldest will be in them. So hopefully we'll have some good experience. I don't know if I'm going to coach. We'll see. I don't know what to do with flag football. I play defensive line. So like, what am I coaching here? Wide receivers? Like,
I want to hear a story next
This
year
is
about
out of
him
bounds,
playing
and this is
flag
inbound.
football.
yeah, that's all you really need to
I
know.
want to hear a story about him playing flag football and just completely like clotheslining another player.
He might. He's a larger child. The poor kid was born with cankles, so he's thick
Blindside the
through and
quarterback.
through. He's just a big
Just complete
kid.
blindside the quarterback 3 seconds after he throws the ball. Just
I mean, look,
obliterate him.
pass interference is a 15-yard penalty, and also destroying the other team's quarterback and knocking them out for the game is also a 15-yard penalty. Pick your penalty. That's all I'm saying, folks. Pick your penalty. Which one will give you the most advantage? No, I'm just kidding. Don't hurt other people's kids ever.
Too much.
On that note, thank you so much for listening to the Common Dad podcast. Do not forget to follow us on YouTube at the Common Dad podcast. Follow, like, subscribe. Facebook at the Common Dad and Instagram at the _common_dad. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you can't, don't listen there. That's a bad place to listen to podcasts. Go somewhere else like Spotify. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of the Common Dad Podcast. Let us know if you liked the video by giving us a thumbs up. Even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up anyway. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video. Also, do not forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_common_dad and on Facebook at The Common Dad, so you can let us know your thoughts on today's episode.